This is John from Optics EQ, and I want to revisit a technique we've used previously in webinars and in other races of the day. It's called Note Scan, and it's a little different than Plot Scan. But what I do is normally I just first kind of look at the grid, and I start looking, and what I'm looking for are kind of either optics notes in green that are trouble or projections that might be I might deem as positive, like improve or turf or prep or something like that. Now, this race, the seventh race, is a maiden special weight. Some other races, have really bulky running lines because we do lifetime running lines. So one way to maybe, trim it down is you might want to look for something more relevant, like let's say the last 30, 60, 90 days. In this case, I'm just going to look at the last 60 days. It's not going to change much because there really aren't that many past performances here, but it'll at least make this a little bit more manageable, the data, and it's probably more relevant looking at, projections that are, shorter in duration from the previous race. So I'm going to say 0909, which would be 60 days prior. You can see it kind of trimmed it down a little bit. And then what I want to do, we can look at, different things. You can filter on anything you want. I'm going to filter on projections. I want to see what projections are out there. And there looks like there's 3 positive projections in the last 60 days. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear this back out and look at these 3 horses, the 1, the 4, and the 8, and just kind of get a sense of, these 3 horses and what this all means. So I'm going to start with the 1, Bold Lady. And you can see that in her debut at Churchill, we gave her a prep. She had a good gallop out. Again, the running line doesn't look like much, but, we watched these races from beginning to end and beyond. And you could see that we had a gallop out on her, and we said this should probably be a prep and help her move up the next time. Well, she goes to Keeneland. That's always a tough meet. And she goes 7 furlongs. She runs 7th. But you see she really does improve dramatically in terms of her numbers, okay? She gets a stretch out now again today. The concern here is we really don't know much about this horse from a turf perspective. There's no turf projections or anything. So when I look at her, I'll give her another look as they come on the track. I may just look physically how she looks. Other people who you're interested in her, you might look at, if you're interested in pedigree and how that might play out or trainer angles and so forth. But for us, she's probably, not something that would get us going initially. So I would need some more information to kind of, back her. So let's look at the other projection horse, English Dancer. Now this horse interests us in the debut. Better than looked effort against the bias, traffic, and galloped out. We thought this horse was going to improve big time. And then really didn't happen at Keeneland. And so this is 5-1 Mott, good connections, obviously. There might be some more improve in this horse. But again, with the action, that probably going to be taken because of the trainer and so forth, a little lukewarm thus. But again, another one we want to kind of pay attention to. Just don't know how to read that Keeneland race. It just came up a little bit flat for us. Now, she did have a late lead change. She was well bet in that race. So if they let her get away, she might be interesting. But the horse that really kind of intrigues us of all these is Twisted Minds. We didn't catch her on a debut. It was only going 5 furlongs. Obviously, she needs more distance. She's comes from way back. She doesn't really do much going 5 furlongs, but comes back in Indiana, her second start, and she was in traffic against the flow. She made a wide move in that race, and she ran a pretty good figure. And then she comes back at Kentucky Downs, a little bit more deeper meet, and she just gets buried. I mean, she finishes 3rd, and she does have some issues in terms of room, but the horse that won that race won by like 12 lengths, 13 lengths, and came back and ran in grade 3, and then also ran in the Breeders' Cup. Didn't do much, but still, that was a nice horse she was facing that day. She goes to Keeneland, again, a deeper meet, and then she has issues. Slow out of the gate, she's kind of inside, in traffic, gets a little bit of trouble, and we project an improvement. Now, you could see that her figure was low. That race since come back. We've kind of done some analysis. The figures come back out of that race have come back a little bit higher. So that number may be a little bit low anyway. But if she could kind of even improve on or just run back to the race she ran in her second start, and we're going to show you she probably will be very competitive. And the thing that we like the best is Lannery stays on his horse. He kind of knows this Churchill turf course probably better than most, and the price, 12 to 1. I don't know if you're going to get that price, but pay attention to the board. So let's just go back. I just want to show you how her figure compares. These are the top figures in the race from a speed figure perspective. And you can see how high she's up on that second race rates behind some of these other horses. So she's competitive on the speed figures. Her form looks probably better than it looks on paper, and she's 12 to 1 in the morning line. That's how we kind of arrived at Twisted Minds using positive, positive form projections on OptixNOTES.